to that because we need to talk to Harvey Proctor, who is our next guest. Harvey, very good morning to you. Thanks for waiting patiently. Sorry about that. Good to see you. Let's talk about a number of things. We've got David Lammy trying to dismantle the jury trial system today in the House of Commons, but also one of the things that the Home Office is attempting to do is to restructure the police forces of this country. And I know that you feel particularly strongly about that. The idea is to whittle down the number of forces into a smaller sort of managerial set, if you like. What's your view of that?
Good morning to you, and good morning to your viewers and listeners, and thank you for inviting me on your show. With regard to the police, I do believe the police has lost its way, do not know what they are supposed to be doing, and I've called before and I call again for a Royal Commission to study the whole of UK policing. However, what I think the government are currently proposing is a restructuring of the number of police forces in the country. That may be something that needs investigating, but alas, they have placed in charge of it, as chairman of it, the worst possible person to conduct the investigation, namely a former Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Lord Hogan Howe. He was in charge of Operation Midland, the disastrous investigation in 2015 and 2016. He was terrible as a commissioner. He made error after error. And it seems in this country that people who fail are promoted, ennobled, enriched, and that should not be the case. Hogan Howe should be nowhere near anything to do with UK policing now or in the future.
No. And I mean, what would be the advantage, as far as they are concerned, of actually having fewer constabularies? What's the point of that?
I guess it's a cost-cutting exercise. I can't think that they're doing this for the good of policing or the good of the public who the police help. I think it's entirely an ill-advised cost-cutting exercise.
Yes, indeed. And what about this whole government's kind of approach, generally speaking, to the law and order of the country? They seem to be more interested in prosecuting people for things that they think and say than they do prosecuting people for things that they do.
I think this must come from the top. It comes from the Prime Minister, who, if you recall, was a Director of Public Prosecutions. He's fabled for being a good Director of Public Prosecutions. He was not. During the course of Operation Midland, the police, the Metropolitan Police, believed the victim, Carl Beach, without investigating thoroughly. As a result, many people, including myself, lost almost everything. Now, Starmer was not Director of Public Prosecutions in 2015, but 2 or 3 years earlier, because he was upset with the lack of successful convictions for rape, he went around police force after police force telling them henceforth to believe the victim. In 2015, the Metropolitan Police did, and hence Operation Midland and the disaster that was. So Keir Starmer has a habit of standing on its head centuries of criminal justice procedures in this country. And you mentioned earlier about jury trials and trying to scrap for a number of trials juries. Again, setting on its head criminal justice protections in this country. That should not happen.
No. absolutely not. And have you made any sort of representations to this government or any of the sort of, I don't know, departments of it about the way you feel about all this?
Well, of course, I make speeches, write articles, and I tweet quite a bit. And I and others involved in Operation Midland are about to contact the Secretary of State for Justice, Lammy, about another matter. That is, I think it's common knowledge now that my accuser, our accuser, Carl Beach, who was sentenced in 2019 to 18 years in prison, was released early, having served 7 years and 4 months. When he was released, I and my colleagues were not told that he was being released. I still do not know the terms or conditions of his license for release. Why? Because under the criminal justice system, I and others are not regarded to be victims. The offences that he committed of perverting the course of justice, the victim is regarded in criminal justice in this country to be the Crown, not anybody who might have been hurt by those offences. So I think the law should be changed so that I and others involved in Operation Midland are regarded as victims.
Yeah, absolutely, Harvey. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Harvey Proctor there, a man who was very much wronged by Carl Beach.
He underplayed what happened to him.
Yeah.
The first thing that happened to him was he lost his job.
Yeah.
And with the job, there was he had a home that went with the job.
Yeah.
So he lost that.
Yeah.
He then had to defend himself. And lawyers don't come cheap.
At a great cost to his own pocket. Yeah.
Yes, lawyers don't come cheap. He didn't have that money. I don't know. It was very interesting to talk to him as an old man.
Yeah.
Under what circumstances he currently lives, right? And there are people like Starmer, right, who would literally defend somebody who turned out to be a terrorist, a British terrorist, now living and married some Islamist pig of a guy, right? And now out in a refugee camp in the Middle East. He would go to the ends of the world to defend that person and actually invite them back into our country.
Yeah.
And yet, somebody like Harvey Proctor doesn't even get told when somebody who's actually trashed his life and left him destitute, nowhere to turn, doesn't tell him that he's being released. Why on earth Carl Beach is being let out early, I have no idea.
Well, that's another mystery, isn't it?